Bryan Karns will be the first to tell you he is not the greatest golfer. Lucky for him, that wasn't in the job description. The OSU alumni is the director of this year's PGA Championship. I met him here at Southern Hills Country Club in Tulsa, Oklahoma, to learn how his time in Stillwater prepared him for the majors.
When I came to campus, there wasn't a sport management program, so I had a pretty good sense that I wanted to work in sports. I grew up loving sports, but because there wasn't like this natural path, and I didn't have a lot of people that I knew that were in sports, so it wasn't like I had these people to call, and obviously at that point, you know, there weren't maybe some of the resources that there are now to say, hey, here's how you find a job in sports. I was a writer, you know, communication, the English side, that was really, I think, came very natural to me. So I thought, you know, maybe I could be a sports writer. So that's kind of how I got into the journalism side, really as a way of being, hey, this is the most clear-cut outlet for me, you know, to get into sports. And you know, my freshman, sophomore year, I did a little bit of like string reporting for, actually, it was a Broken Arrow paper and a few other where, you know, when the kids would come in to play Stillwater, the sports editor would call me and say, hey, can you go out and take a few photos? So I've got a few stories somewhere. But then obviously it sort of transitioned with my major, you know, through the School of Journalism and Broadcasting. And then obviously that's really where it progressed. Because you know, the O'Colly was kind of my first stop. So I think January of my junior year was when I started working for the O'Colly, and love to think about how that was Mike Gundy's first year at Oklahoma State. And for those that remember, that was not the best season. I think his only losing season was that very first year where we won one conference game, and so it it really tested my writing skills, right? Because I was a huge homer, still am, obviously, and which made it difficult for me to be an objective journalist anyway when I was covering Oklahoma State. Even that season, I kind of ran out of, hey, how do I spin this, you know, 0-6 conference record into something that's really going to get people excited? So that's how I obviously got into sports. I look back on my experience. I tell a lot of students now, if you want to get into sports, there's certainly more of a path now, and there's a great sport management program that exists. Working for the O'Colly, writing, you know, the opportunity to be in the press box and have the kind of access to coaches and players and see it from that vantage point, I mean, it was invaluable to me because that's one of those positions, even as a student writer, you got to be right in the mix of it. A lot of, you know, journalists, whether it's the Jenny Carlsons, the Bill Hastings, the Barry Trammels of the world that I still see writing now, that I had a chance to be right next to, and that was such a cool experience for me.
You started as a writer with the O'Colly, but how did you parlay that into this profession with the PGA that you have now? Yeah,
so from there, again, kind of graduated in 06 and didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, so had an opportunity to continue school and get my master's in communication, so I've got the 2 degrees from Oklahoma State. But I knew that at that point that I probably didn't want to sort of stay in the you know, the sort of that journalism side of it, you know, whether it was writing for a paper at that point. Clearly now there's so many different outlets on the digital front that didn't exist 15 years ago. But at that point, I got to know Steve Buzzard really well, who at that point was the sports information director, and had asked me, hey, if you're going to stick around, do you want to come work for the sports information department? And that was a dream come true for me, because I felt like, look, it's so much easier for me just to write nothing but like positive fluff pieces, and so why not just work for Oklahoma State? That's going to be the easiest place for me. And that was that summer that, you know, transition Kevin Clintworth came in. For me, that's kind of opened up a whole new, you know, side of the business. You know, certainly the SID part, you know, obviously writing stories, getting quotes, interacting with players, you know, but also, you know, the broadcast side of it too. ESPN would come in for games and they would have us be runners, or we'd be working in the truck, helping with graphics. And so my goal all along was just to, and I think most people in sports or, you know, entertainment, there's a handful of these industries that you're really just looking for any way to grow your resume. And so that's what I was doing, and it was a great opportunity to do that. But the summer between my first and second year of grad school, so it was the summer of 2007, I was looking for something to sort of supplement my time. You know, it's slow, June, July, and that back then it was in August, the PGA Championship was. And so I was looking for something to just supplement my resume because everything in sports information was so slow. Really all you're doing in July and August is just prepping for fall camp, for football, doing media guides, that sort of thing. So I saw this internship opportunity and sort of hospitality, sales, and services. I didn't really care what it was in. I just saw PGA Championship. Certainly sounded like a great thing to put on my resume. I had been to the '94 PGA when it was at Southern Hills. I'd been to the 2001 U.S. Open when it was at Southern Hills. So I kind of grew up coming over from Stillwater, going to these major championships. I knew the significance, and just again, at the very least, it was going to be, a month-long internship that I was able to put on my resume, and I really sort of consider it my light bulb moment. Growing up, playing golf for fun, at Stillwater Country Club, I was in junior golf, those sort of things, but just really more of a social thing for me. Loved going out with my friends. Really never considered a career in golf because in my mind it was, okay, you're either going to, be a professional or you're going to be a PGA pro and you're going to be a head professional at a local, country club or a local golf course or work on the industry side. And it just didn't seem like that was my skill set. And so really seeing the event management side of it, which is really my job. It's all outside the ropes. It could be anything inside the ropes happening. For me, everything is really tied to what's going on from a spectator and a corporate and a volunteer standpoint. So that was like my light bulb moment where I thought, oh my gosh, I really need to keep doing this. And fortunately, I met the right people and kind of left that week in August of '07 with a couple of contacts that said stay in touch. And 2 months later, I got a job offer to go work on the Ryder Cup that was in Louisville, Kentucky in 2008. And so really ever since then, obviously I had to come back after that Ryder Cup and finish school so I could have my master's degree. My parents wanted to make sure that I finished that. That's really what jump-started this career. And after I came back, I had a year where I spent time with the WNBA. So there was a franchise. It's now moved on to Dallas, but it was the Detroit Shock. They were a WNBA team in Detroit. So the year I was back, kind of trying to figure out what was next, they moved from Detroit to Tulsa and helped kind of start them up in their first year. And then a year after that, so I guess it was probably the fall of 2010, had an opportunity to go back with the PGA on the Ryder Cup that was in Chicago and have been with the PGA ever since. So I think in a lot of ways it wasn't a direct path. It wasn't something that I thought, when I was 19, oh my gosh, I want to be a championship director for the PGA of America. That didn't come onto my radar until much later. But I really, and what I tell young people who ask that question, how do you get to be in your position? It's it was really just a matter of trying as many things as I could until I found something that I really had a passion for.
You are the championship director at PGA of America. What responsibilities come with that job?
The easiest way to describe it is everything outside of the ropes. So there's very little I have to do when it comes to competition. So when people ask me how far are they going to play, the fifth hole at Southern Hills, I can't really tell you. The type of grass, I'm not an agronomy expert. So much of my job is tied to community relations. It's sales, it's revenue generation, volunteer recruitment. That all sort of falls under my purview, is making sure that for all the different user groups that come and are involved in our championship, and throughout the course of the week, there's 250,000 people that are out here that are involved in this championship, whether again it's a volunteer, it's a VIP hospitality client, it's a ticket buyer. Our goal is to make it an unbelievable once in a lifetime kind of experience, regardless of the capacity they're coming out in. There's a lot of that, but then so much of the back end work. I think what people forget is that at a golf course like Southern Hills, outside of this beautiful clubhouse they have here, there's no infrastructure. So, most golf courses that we go to are not built with 40,000 people in mind. They're really built more as hey, this is kind of an exclusive getaway and we're capable of hosting small events, but certainly not events at this size and scale. So everything from concessions to restrooms, the broadcast compound, all of that has to be built. All that has to be permitted. The traffic plan for the course of the week, because of the 40,000 people that will come here, maybe 39,000 of them have to come from somewhere off-site. And so there's an entire operation that gets people from point A to point B. A lot of what we spend our time doing It just depends on the day, depends on the timeline and the process. 24 months out, obviously we're not looking at some of the minutia, whereas when we're 30 days out, we're looking at the minutiae. That's all we're looking at. I sometimes wish I could have like a one sentence, just here's what my job is. But I think really for people that are coming out or people that have tuned in and seen a golf tournament on TV, when you look outside the ropes, everything that's there, whether it's, again, a concession stand, how we built it, or it's an individual, how did that person, how did we market a ticket to them, and then get them to the golf course, that all is basically at some point in time a part of my day job.
Your office, if you will, changes every couple of years,
too.
Where are some of the other courses you've worked at?
Yeah, so I've been in upstate or western New York, Rochester, Oak Hill Country Club, Louisville, Kentucky, Valhalla Golf Club, Medina Country Club in Chicago. I've kind of seen the extreme French Lick, Indiana. So I've been, right, you look at DC and Chicago, that's kind of the higher end, more metropolitan areas. And then I've been in French Lick, Indiana, which has got 1,200 people. And is essentially just a resort and a golf course. And so it does, keep me on my toes, and it presents a new challenge. People ask that question, was it just rinse and repeat? Do you just have a blueprint that you go into a market and you just recreate the same thing? To some extent, yes. I mean, there are sort of the basics of what we do and we're going to have at each location. But when you think about, again, Tulsa versus Chicago versus French Lick versus Rochester, New York, there are just totally different. There's some very nuanced things, whether it comes to just local regulations, community support that change, and that's honestly one of the things I enjoy most about my job is sort of going into new places and understanding what makes those places tick and how can we build a championship experience that's really going to get people excited. I think here. One of the easiest ways to compare, and certainly ties in well with this, that when you go to Rochester, New York, there's not a college golf sort of environment there. There's a couple of kids, and Rochester's actually produced some PGA Tour pros, but you don't, it's not the kind of community that says, hey, this is our college or this is our tie-in with local golf. You come here and you've obviously got this unbelievable tradition with Oklahoma State golf and the support you have, the number of people that just want to come out and wear their orange and watch Ricky Fowler and Victor Hovland and the others, and even the University of Oklahoma, the success they've had in recent years, and Abraham Answer. It's just a totally different vibe and experience, and even the involvement of those schools when you're in markets that don't have professional sports towns. A lot of my peers that come in and have asked about who can we partner with, what are some local celebrities. I'm like, look, the local celebrities in Oklahoma are Mike Gundy. It's the college coaches, and that's what people care about.
Why do you think that Oklahoma State has such a prolific golf program?
In my mind, sort of in my era, I mean, it's all Mike Holder and what he's been able to do. And I think, look, everybody goes back to Lebron Harris and really how that's all started. But when you move around, there's nowhere else that I've been that has the level of commitment from a university and from a group of people that say, hey, this is something we want to prioritize. And Oklahoma State has always done an incredible job with the Olympic sports or the non-football sports. I mean, I grew up, when I was a kid going to Lewis Field, and there was, I don't know how old I was when we went 0-10-1. I mean, there was a long stretch where it was like, hey, we didn't have what we have now from a football standpoint, but we were able to do this incredible job of having wrestling and baseball and basketball and golf really, really thrive. What I see more than anything is just this culture that's created, that people want to come to Oklahoma State, to that golf program. They want to play in the facilities, but there's just a culture that you see carry over. Really, I mean, they're at that forefront of putting the swinging Pete on their bags and making it a priority to come back and to give back. And that's, professional golfers are probably some of the most visible pro athletes. I mean, it's great when you've got a guy in the NFL or somebody in professional sports, but oftentimes they're behind a mask or they're on a team, whereas professional golfers, I mean, that's there. So when you see Ricky Fowler wearing his orange on Sunday, I mean, that's an advertisement for the school. And so I think it ties back to that. And again, to me, the incredible thing about Coach Holder's, you've got all these different personality types. Golfers are different birds, right? They play an individual sport, and they come from all over. I mean, I think, it looks like, I think half of our golf team is, from outside the United States. So, I mean, it is a real melting pot of how do we get people to buy in, and it's just continued to happen at a level that you just don't see anywhere else. And so, it is funny when I move around, people come into my office and see my Oklahoma State stuff on the wall, and they'll assume that I played. I'm like, no, I'm not. I wouldn't even be allowed near Karsten Creek. But at the same time, people understand that brand. They recognize it, they see it, and that's a testament, I think, to Coach Holder and everything that's gone on with the golf program.
There are 4 Oklahoma State golf alumni who will be competing in this year's PGA Championship. What would it mean to you to see one of them win here in Tulsa?
My standard answer should be, I'm just rooting for the best champion, right? I'm not biased in this at all. But no, I mean, deep down, the Oklahoma State, diehard in me and the orange blood, would love nothing more than to see, Victor or Matt or Ricky or Taylor win. And hopefully there's still a few more events to be played that we can get, another guy or two in there. There's not a lot of golf that I watch during that week. I tell people, might be, if I watch 10 golf shots throughout the course of the week, that's a lot, because I'm spending most of my time putting out small fires, checking on everything behind the scenes. And so, oftentimes I'm not really dialed in. It might be the end of the day before I even look at the leaderboard. But I guarantee you, if Ricky's there or Victor, any of the guys are there, that's going to catch my attention, and it's going to mean a little bit more. Just like doing the event in Tulsa in general. I mean, I think back to, again, Rochester, New York holds a very special place in my heart. I was there for 2 years. Oak Hill Country Club, they've got some of the best members, some of the best people that I've ever met. So when we got to event week for the senior PGA 3 years ago, obviously you really want to do well for the community. There's a lot of relationships you've built, still people now that I stay in touch with. And so it means a lot because you want those communities to really shine when they have that spotlight. And so as much as, it's just the same here, it means a little bit more. It means a little bit more to be able to do this for the city of Tulsa, for the state of Oklahoma, and to really represent in a way that when this national spotlight is on, our part of the world that so oftentimes is underappreciated, that people really get to see what a special place it is.
When was the last time Southern Hills hosted a PGA event?
2007 was the last PGA Championship.
Who won that year?
Tiger Woods.
Could he repeat at Southern Hills?
That's certainly, it was a question that 2 weeks ago we didn't think about. I mean, until the week before the Masters, when he showed up, most of us in the industry, we were just thankful that he was, healthy and walking again. And, he's the one person that everyone in the industry is connected to in some way, shape, or form. And he doesn't move the needle, he is the needle. I mean, Tiger really has transcended everything. Certainly for our generation. I mean, you look back and the Jack Nicklaus and the Arnold Palmers. There was those individuals changed a lot in their time. But it's just hard to believe that someone will have the impact that Tiger will. And so having him play here, whether he's in his prime or he's just he's just getting by, it means everything. But I think Tiger's real legacy, in my opinion, certainly is the strength of the other guys around him. So I felt like, when I was a kid, probably growing up, I wanted to see Tiger play. That was it. Tiger was number one. And you had a handful of other guys that you might want to watch, but it was all about Tiger. And I think his legacy has been that there is this generation of golfers that play at such a high level that have taken, the skill and the expertise, the distance, every part of the game, and it's just gone through the roof, the level of commitment. And so when you see a Scottie Scheffler when wearing Tiger Woods shoes, that speaks volumes to his legacy, because he absolutely has paved the way so that even though he might not be here, we sold out almost all of our tickets for this event last summer when nobody thought Tiger was going to be here. So it certainly is an indicator that the strength of golf is as good as it's ever been. And having him here would certainly be, the chef's kiss. It would be, the cherry on top of this entire experience. But even just him being back, I think everybody that watched the Masters, you just felt that magic again. And so I think it just added to the momentum that we've already got going into the PGA Championship this year.
I'm going to test your loyalty.
Yes.
If it's Tiger or an OSU alum and it comes down to those two in the final round, who are you cheering for?
Tiger's won enough, so it's
no. You got to share the wealth.
Yeah, you got to share the wealth. Yeah, and I think that it's great about golf is that it is important. It helps. It's such a career-defining moment. Tiger's won here. He's won numerous PGA championships. So yeah, it would be hard to not cheer for our guys because despite the fact that we've had this incredible legacy of cowboy golf, Bob Tway is the only major champion we've ever had, and it was the PGA Championship, and it's kind of crazy. It's almost just defies, statistics that we'd have this many, great professional golfers and only one major championship. So I would love nothing more than for this to be the year that we added a second one to the Oklahoma State history books.
Oklahoma State might only have one major champion, but they do have a Ryder Cup winner or two. And you were there in 2008 watching Hunter Mahan win it for Team USA. Yes. What was that like for you?
That was one of the coolest moments of my career. And part of it is, I think for anyone, when you first, the first event, and that was the first one that I was kind of on the staff and got to really see from beginning to end. And again, first off, the Ryder Cup is that one event I'm talking about. I'd love an Oklahoma State person to win. Every other year, you're not really that tied to whoever. You just want it to be a good champion. You want it to be a good, engaging thing for fans. But the Ryder Cup is, I don't care if it's terrible to watch at home. I just want to see the United States win. And in 2008, we kind of had I think you could maybe say it was a ragtag bunch. Tiger Woods that year, he'd won the U.S. Open that summer, basically on a broken leg, and then had shut it down. So Tiger wasn't going to be, and again, you go back to what I said earlier, 2008 was, it was still that time that Tiger was everything. So the idea that we wouldn't have Tiger on this team, the Europeans had an incredibly strong squad that year. So, the fact that we had Hunter Mahan, I was excited, but not expecting us to probably win. And so to be there and to be, right there on the 17 green when Hunter Mahan hit a putt that basically, I think, guaranteed a halve in his match and was one of the really seminal moments of closing it down. I still get chills. I mean, that's one of those videos that, I've gone, you go back to YouTube, you save, you put it in your phone under your favorites so that, on any given day you can pull that up and just the celebration by Hunter, and it is, it's definitely seared in my brain as one of the top 5 moments, and it has a lot to do with just the significance in the United States winning, but also when you get to see our guys do it, it just makes you proud. I mean, in some ways you're like that annoying parent where the people are like, yes, I get it. I know Hunter went to Oklahoma State. And you're like, well, I'm just going to tell you again, okay? Because it makes me that much more proud when it's our guys and the way they represent. And even this year at the Ryder Cup, working with the European team and hearing how much they loved Victor, and Victor was the best and, just the nicest individual, it says a lot. And I think as someone who has moved around the country with my job, you certainly feel like that's something I can do. I mean, here there's, you're back in Tulsa, there's so many Oklahoma State people here, you're home, but when you're in Rochester, New York, I might be the only Oklahoma State person that most of these people have met. And so you want them to say that. And I think that's a big part of our culture at Oklahoma State is that when people who are outside of this area meet or they talk about Oklahoma State people, they go, yeah, the one person I know is very nice, is very warm, is very, fill in the blank with some great superlative. And that's what hopefully is kind of a part of my journey is helping spread the good word of Oklahoma State and how this is a great place to be and it's a great place to come from.
You've admitted you're not the greatest golfer, not D1 golf
Yes.
level, but you did play in Stillwater growing up there.
Yeah.
What are your favorite courses that you've played on in Oklahoma?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's I like to say I can get around. right? I get around and I can certainly keep up, and you know, Stillwater Country Club absolutely holds a special place. All the courses in Stillwater. I mean, I love playing at Cimarron Trails and Lakeside. For Stillwater, it is, you know, it's a great setup, and I always just enjoyed that. And I think, you know, a city's commitment to golf courses is sometimes it's underrated. You know, Tulsa's going through that right now, and in terms of, you know, what kind of resources do we put into, because I think sometimes on the surface you look at a golf course and you think, well, why would we spend dollars on a golf course, or why would we spend city dollars or county dollars or state dollars on a golf course? But it's really is a critical component of, you know, the fabric of a community. And when you try to attract, you know, people, whether it's new businesses or people to relocate, golf courses, it tends to be one of the things people bring up. They want to have good public golf courses. And this state is really tremendous. If you think about Southern Hills and Oak Tree in Edmond, and then Karsten Creek, you've probably got, you know, for a state this size, arguably the best combination of two incredible private golf courses that have hosted major championships. You've got, again, biased, but the best collegiate facility in the entire country, and a golf course that, you know, consistently makes a top 100 in public golf courses. So it really is, I think, an underrated state to have hosted this many events. I mean, this is the 5th PGA Championship that'll be at Southern Hills. That's a record. I mean, we've not had a venue that's hosted this many PGA Championships. The next closest will be 3. So, you know, 5 for Southern Hills, 3 for the next closest. And I have no doubt that the future will hold more championships for Southern Hills, because every time we come here, the metrics we use to measure success, it's not just meeting them, we exceed them. You know, and that's whether it's corporate support, it's volunteer support, it's just general tickets, and everything in between, which really the thing that we define, you know, you've got to have a golf course, right? I mean, that's a critical component to why we come to Southern Hills. You need a membership that's supportive and willing to kind of let you come in and take over. You know, again, imagine being a member at Southern Hills and not being able to play the golf course for a couple of months and having all this construction, you know, some parts of your golf course destroyed for 4 or 5 months just in the name of 1 week. But really the reason we continue to come back is because of the community support. I mean, nobody says no. Nobody says, hey, I don't want to get involved, or we don't want to support you. People understand what these events do for the community, and so they continue to support. But yeah, it's just been fun, and because we've had so much success, I've been able to have even more fun sort of doing things and engaging, you know, again, engaging Oklahoma State has been such a cool thing for me. Last year for the senior PGA, you know, we had Coach Boynton come out and do some stuff for us, and it's just awesome to see that support, and the fact that, you know, Oklahoma State is such a critical part of it, and they're so supportive. A, because I think they see what it does for golf in the state, but B, because there are so many of our former golfers in the field.
What's on your golf bucket list?
That's a good question. You know, you know, having, you know, been to the Masters, that was probably one of the few things. You know, the Ryder Cup and the Masters to me are the best events in all of golf, just in terms of excitement and really novelty. The Ryder Cup is only every 4 years in the U.S., so that naturally makes it difficult to be able to attend. Obviously, the Masters is very difficult just based on, you know, demand and the ability to get down there. You know, probably playing, you know, any of the, you know, the West Coast, the Pebble Beaches of the world. I mean, there's just some great golf venues that exist out there. But what to me is so cool about golf is the way that it's moving in a more modern direction. As you can imagine, I mean, golf has always been a traditional sport and not on the cutting edge, and maybe the way we attract new players. But I think, you know, the younger generation, outside of a small group, the idea of, you know, taking 5 or 6 hours on a Saturday afternoon to come and play golf, that's sort of gone by the wayside, or certainly not as popular. But you've started to see the things like Top Golf and Pop Shot and all these other vehicles to get people out swinging a club. And that's in a lot of ways what our championships attempt to do, right? Like the PGA of America, at our core, our organization tries to grow the game of golf. We want more people playing. It's a lifetime sport, and it's something that whether you just go and you hit a few balls at the range or you're playing at Southern Hills, it's the same sport, and it's something that you can do for a lifetime in the way that most other sports you can't really do. I mean, you'll go out here and you'll see 90-year-old people playing golf, and you don't see them often playing basketball or soccer or some of these other sports. And so we're just one cog in that big wheel of how do we get people excited. And I think a lot of people, while Tiger Woods never put a club in their hand, Tiger Woods hasn't given a lesson to these people, they would look back and say, hey, the first moment I wanted to go pick up a golf club was after watching Tiger Woods do X, or watching Ricky Fowler do this, after I saw him do that, or after I got to meet him or take my photo with him, I decided I'd go and pick up a club. And for a lot of people, that's their start in golf. So this is kind of the first part of that process, and the way we view these championships is just probably our most visible asset when it comes to getting more people to play golf.
You'll be wrapped up with the 2022 PGA Championship in a couple months. What's next?
There's a few weeks of just decompressing. The fact that we did the senior PGA last year, normally, we'll do an event and then get a break. We were full mode last year for the senior PGA, and then we jumped right into the PGA. So it's felt like two busy years. So it'll take some time to relax, but then it's always on to the next one. So my focus, my next event that I would be in charge of would be the 2025 PGA Championship in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I'll move up there at some point at the end of the summer, early fall, maybe after the first few football games. I'll see if I can work that. Yeah, so it's on to the next one, and we support our other championships. So there's someone that's at the 23 PGA that as soon as we're done here, it really becomes their turn, and then someone at 24, and so we leapfrog each other, but we're all very supportive, and you try to help out where you can, and all our other events. Again, the fact that next year we're in Rochester, where I was 4 years ago, there's a lot of insight that I've been able to help with there, and feedback. So it really is one big team for our on-site people, because there's maybe 20 or 25 of us that this is what we do. We move around every year, and we run our 4 major championships, and so it's kind of like a family in a lot of ways. So that's really what's next. I've tried to slow this down as much as possible, because as excited as I am to get to the week, I do fully recognize and appreciate that this is probably, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity for me, and probably something when I started, 10, 12 years ago, the idea of coming back in this role to Southern Hills, it was a pipe dream. And not just because I didn't know if I could progress in that role, but also we're at the mercy of, if Southern Hills doesn't decide to host, or the relationship isn't worked out, then there's just no opportunity whether I want to or not. So the fact that this all came together like it did, yeah, it's going to be hard to get it Sunday night and have to sort of shut this all down, because it's been an unbelievable ride.